from wherever you're watching us. It's always good to be back on this platform, and of course this is the one-to-one program coming to you on QTV, and I am your host Julden Jai. Like we do the previous episodes, we engage our ministers on their policies, programs, and of course the activities that they have implemented and the activities that are ongoing. So this evening I have the Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Professor Per Gomez. Good evening, Mr. Gomez, and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Julie, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, and thank you for honoring our invitation.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for the service to the nation. Thank you.
Yeah, like I said earlier, this is focusing on the government ministries, policies and programs, all geared towards making sure that we have a better Gambia. So take us through the scope of the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology.
Well, thank you, and thank you also to Keep TV for the quality service. It's really appreciated, and not only here in the Gambia but even abroad. Recently I was away, and in some quarters some people were quoting QTV because they watch certain programs here and there. So we really appreciate it, and we want to say thank you to management and all the staff of this television for the service that they are rendering to the Gambian people. Well, for the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, we are the one in charge of human capital. We are the one to responsible for the training of the youths, so that at the end of the day we have a well-informed citizenry. We are the one that is training them to have both academic and professional qualification. In essence, this is an arm of government that liberates the youths by giving them education, by giving them an opportunity to take charge of their destiny. This is an arm of government that creates the tools for sustainable development. This is a ministry that really ensures that people have both the knowledge and the character, you know, as agents of change for development to develop this beautiful country called the Gambia, using research, because it should be research-based data to inform policies, but using science in general and technology and, you know, innovation and so on and so forth. So anchored on knowledge. So that is the mandate of this ministry. But we serve everybody, all sectors.
You spoke of the mandate and the important role the ministry has in terms of the development of the Gambia. So take us through the policy priorities of the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology.
Well, our main focus is to be able to really work on access. It is a main fundamental element for the youths of this country to be able to have access to tertiary and higher education, and not everything to be concentrated in the greater Banjul area. That's one of the pillars, and we'll work on that later. The other thing also is having access, but then quality. So that is something of quality, something that responds to the needs and aspirations of the industry, and also something that can come and support the development agenda of this country. But not only this country, but based on international best practice. So that when you are good, when they say you are good, you are not only good here in Bununkakunda, but also in Oxford, Sorbonne, Yale, and you name it. So that's the objective. Okay. So these two pillars, very, very fundamental, but also to ensure that at the end of the day, it is using two mainstreams to be able to address that. That's the game changer in our education sector. One, to use the traditional education system or general education, like that is happening in general, but also Tibet education. Okay, that's the second stream. So these are the two streams that we want to develop, and not relying only on one, which is the general education, but the second one. So these are the main issues that we are working on for the time being, all helping to address the higher education aspect in the Gambia by bringing quality, but also making it accessible. We'll talk about all these issues when we break them down. But in essence, this is the main focus: getting the access, getting the quality, but also using these two main streams and putting now mechanisms in place to really achieve all that, especially with different financing models and so on.
So what is the ministry doing in translating these policies into reality? You mentioned access, you mentioned quality, you mentioned Tibet, and of course you mentioned the traditional education. So what is your ministry doing in translating this?
Yes, thank you very much. As you know, we, as part of the policy, one is to ensure that we have the normal, the traditional education system and the general education. That's the, you finish from grade 12 and then you move to Gambia College or to university, so where we have these general education programs and so on, normal. And there too, as part of the policy is, I know we'll come back to that, to ensure, and that's part of the strategies now, to have a campus and with different facilities. We'll come back to that. But the other one now is to look at the second stream by coming up with the Tibet programs. Therefore, we come up with regional Tibet centers. That will address the access. Because when we talk about democracy is not a one-way traffic. Democracy in the Gambia cannot be just the Greater Banjul area. Somebody, brothers and sisters in Basse, brothers and sisters in Sierra are part and parcel of the Gambia. So they need also to receive the services that we are offering. Our services should not be limited only to the Greater Banjul area, hence the access. Now the decentralization of the Tibet programs across the country. Now we are building Tibet Centers and developing these programs. Hence the Tibet Center in Wasu is going to be multi-purpose with having auto mechanic, tailoring, construction, welding, electrical, and all that, and even agricultural part. But then you have another one which is specialized, and that is going to be in Sapo with the agribusiness aspect of it. And that's typically on agriculture, and agriculture related. And will also the new norm would be now having entrepreneurship and innovation embedded in the program, in which means that the students that we're going to train will now have the mastery of the subject matter when it comes to agribusiness. But the student will not be left alone. The person needs to be trained also on the business aspect of it. Because having the knowledge is one thing, but knowing how to do business is another thing. Mm-hmm. But you need to be prepared. So they will be prepared. Then now, the last part is how to accompany them. When they come out, for them to now start their own business. Because the objective is not for you to come out and wait for government to employ you. Yes, government can employ some, others can be employed by the private sector, but the main objective is they employ themselves. You see, those doing plumbing, those doing, and whatever is for the the multi-purpose, but for the agribusiness, agricultural part of it, they will now create, they have their own farms and start doing the business. That's going to help. The other one is we are coming up with the Tibet Center on Fisheries in Gunjur. We don't have that in this country. And yet we're blessed with that river, and we're blessed with the Atlantic Ocean and so on. Do we have enough specialists in this country to know what is there? Who is informing who? How can we feed ourselves? You could see I have used two pillars only, agriculture and fisheries. Having two Tibet centers that will really, for the first time, really produce technicians. You take the fisheries, for instance. The women folk, the number of women who work in this area, but the processing of the produce, how you can help them so that they don't lose that much. How can you preserve the produce that comes out from our river and others? So all these things need to be prepared. We don't have many specialists also in these areas. By the way, for your info, God willing, next month, we're sending people, young Gambians, close to 20 of them, to go and read fisheries and aquatic sciences, those with BSc in biology, and others with BSc in agriculture and economics to go and read agribusiness. Yeah. This is the future. This is our development. You see, so that you have the manpower, those who can really articulate and tell you exactly how to do things. You take, for instance, the fisheries, you have different components. What we are doing is, for each, we've listed the different areas, but each of them will train two specialists for each of the specialization, so that we have a diverse pool of experts that the center will rely upon, but beyond the center, government. You get the point? So the same thing applies to the agribusiness. So these are some of the things that we are working on. But beyond that also, as you've seen, there you will have people who will be trained at certificate, diploma, even before that, even the apprenticeship aspect of it. You will create the opportunity for them. But those finishing with flying colors, the higher national diploma, they can even transition now to the engineering program, to the university proper, which is the applied sciences. Then, because we are working towards having, for the first time in this country, homegrown engineers, which is not, after 58 years of independence. So that's going to help. Currently we're having 3 programs in engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and civil engineering. These are some of the areas where we're planning to develop and come up with new ones. But these, if you train them, that's going to help a lot. So imagine just 80 of this pumped into the system. Just for the first time. First time.
Okay. It's a great initiative. Many people will applaud you for this initiative. But then where is the funds coming from? Do you have a strategy for funding? Of course, if they are trained, they will need funding to start up their businesses. The entrepreneurs, those in the agri sector, of course, those also in the fisheries sector. Do you have the funds in place for this?
Yes, but first, all of us, so these are not my own initiatives, all of us, even you, by asking these questions, you are also participating for the development of this country. So all of us will be building a better Gambia. And I strongly believe that that tomorrow is coming, and it is now. Yes, the funding part, the whole mindset is we always feel that it is possible. And just give you an example. For the first time in the history of Mohas, we are going to move from 3 million intervention sort of from the World Bank to 21 million. You've never, as a ministry, received such, that's $21 million. Never. And we are talking about tertiary and higher education, which is very key, because this is an institution that trains everybody, all sectors. Yet, it was really underfunded. The highest that we got was 12 with the ACE program, the Africa Center of Program.
Excellent.
Now, imagine for the first time now getting 21. And this 21 is to help us equip 2 centers of excellence. And that is the SAPO one is part of it, and we're going to use NEBMAN also. And come this October, we'll start rolling out the objectives. And right now, my staff, they are working on the PPAs and together with the World Bank, and to be able to do some studies to inform policymakers and be able to use them also for some policy interventions. But come October, then we'll start rolling out the activities, that is to be able to start looking at the purchase of this equipment. And for Ndemban, for instance, brand new, state-of-the-art equipment. Yeah, for the first time in the history of this country. And then also we'll have the same later once we are done with the construction at this place, SAPO, we'll also do that. But we'll also get some funding to equip some other centers also.
Okay.
Yes. And we are using the funds also to do some studies that were never done in this country when it comes to tertiary and higher education. So there's a lot that is coming. And talking about funding, also for your info and for that of the viewers, God willing, this country is going to receive support, a very good one, from America, United States of America, because we are part of the MCC, the Millennium Challenge, and only 2 sectors are identified, and that is river transport and also education. And education more of Tibet. And this will be the intervention from the MCC will be far more than that of the World Bank for your info. And that's where we're going to really get the funding for also additional equipment, to have state-of-the-art equipment for our Tibet centers, and then also get grants for the students who will graduate to accompany them to create their own businesses, because that's also, and then also we'll be having some innovation hubs in all these centers and so on. In addition to that, we will also be working with other partners, and as you are aware, even for the construction part of it, we are working with MRC Holland and to do the construction. For instance, right now at CRR North, they've already started the fencing and so on and so forth. They've completed the work at Nemban. So this September, students will be using the center. The dormitories are ready. They're going to stay there, and classes will start this September. And Gambia government is going to take care of the scholarships of all those who will be there. So they will not have to pay anything. So these are some of the government is going to chip in. We used our partners, and for the bank, these are grants also.
So we're still on the funding. Of course, we know that most of these projects are donor dependent. We are depending hugely on external donors for support. In 2022, the government, the Ministry of Higher Education spent 2.9% of GDP towards higher education. But then we still are yet to go to the recommended standards, which is 4 to 6% of our GDP should be spent on higher education. What is government commitment to higher education? Are we really serious as a country as far as higher education is concerned?
Yeah, we are really serious. We are really serious, and I can tell you it's a priority of this government. So yes, Rome was not built in a day, so it is coming up. I've told you, even with the World Bank, government has to intervene and engage really the World Bank so that the intervention change. Remember, it's a turning point for those who know the history of World Bank's intervention in education. You know, higher education was not their priority. For them, it's basic and secondary, year in, year out. This is unprecedented. And it was, I can tell you, it was very tough. You see, we had to explain and give the justification and insist on that. So that's why I'm telling you, for the sectoral intervention, we moved from $3 million to $21 million. So this is unprecedented. And they have now understood it. The data is there. And we engage everybody. Those who think that higher education is an elitist approach, so no need to intervene, that the bigger return is in the greater return will be in the basic education. I said, you are making a mistake, because that formula doesn't work in other countries. Even in developed countries, they don't use that formula. Why do we have to use this formula in this country? Is it because we are small Gambia? Is it because we are coming from a third world country? The education where we were, the training where we went to in the Western countries, we haven't seen that formula being applied there. Why do we have to apply it here? So this is what we are telling everybody. Give us the data. Let's put everything on the table and let's look at the issues. So, for instance, now, what are you going to tell these youths who are going through the back way? You are telling them you are not going to intervene and they will be... You remember last time somebody was deported here and went to Bakau and killed somebody? What is the response? So I tend to not to have patience sometimes on that mindset of treating higher education in this manner, and Africa to some extent in this way, because it is an investment. It is really important, and this is what is going to create development. You cannot have medical right now in this country. 3/4 of the doctors are trained by higher education. So imagine if we had not trained this, what would have happened? Should we continue sending people abroad for training for basic medical stuff? Should we, in order teachers here, who train the teachers and so on? So, you now understand the investment. If you don't have good teachers, well-trained teachers, how do you expect to have very good students? You get the point. So this is where the problem is. And part of the issues we are having, when it's not the only factor, but one of the factors why the transition rate is very low from senior secondary school to university is because the intervention at teacher training level is very, very low. So it's like computer, garbage in, garbage out. You don't give what you don't have. But invest in tertiary higher education, then you have positive return at the end of the day. So for us, this is the issue, and that's why we are pushing. Thank God the World Bank has really understood and graduated from the recommendation of the Greek consultant, George, I don't know, Sakharovkov, or whoever the name, who recommended that, and that's what they were practicing for many years. But now there's a paradigm shift in this area. But also we thank God that America also has gotten the data, that yes, this is where the intervention should be, and that they were going to support the Gambia. And these are all grants. So it's different from the UTG Faraba Banta Campus. I know we'll come back to that. Those ones are loans.
Exactly. Speaking of access, we know that according to the latest report of the World Bank, their Human Capital Index report indicates that 37% of our young people, 15 to 24, are neither in education, training, or employment, which is a huge number. What is the ministry doing? These Tibet Centers, I know it's one way of, eradicating such issues, but is it free? Always the issue people have in this country is the access.
Yeah, in fact, when it was launched, I was there at the conference center, and I told them I don't have anything to say because your report has vindicated me. 37. I said, what would you tell these youths? 37. That they are not out there. Don't you think that this is a security issue? So it goes beyond higher education. It becomes a security matter because you cannot have youths at that level, not trained, and you left them in the streets. You need to engage them. And the best way to engage the youths is to equip them with knowledge and skills. These are basic things in any developed country. And that's what I told them. And they understood. And I was so happy that I'm not the one saying it. Their research, their consultant, we are the one who came up with the findings. So, and I said, this is where anybody who ignores this, tomorrow don't come back. When there's fire on the mountain, because you saw the signal. And I gave them, not only them, but everybody, reminded them of what happens in other parts of the world and in the sub-region. And I don't want to
where education is seen as an investment.
Yes.
But it's also, not in this part of the world.
Yeah, so, but in some countries where they joke with the data and with their youths, and we saw what happened after. So I also send the signal that people should concentrate on the data. What you've explained needs to be understood by everybody. Because you cannot have that in a country and you decide to look elsewhere. You need to fix that. We cannot sit down here having youths all the time, 300, 400 in concentration camps in Libya, or later some dying. Do you know that all those living through the back way are very healthy? All those who are sick are here in Banjul. Only those who are really okay, very healthy, are the one going. We are losing all these things. When they come back, some of them, you see, they have social trauma. You see the consequences it causes. So we cannot afford that. We are a nation. We are the Gambia.
So what is the ministry doing? Before we go for a break.
No, what we are doing is what
I know Tibet Centers are there.
That's the number one.
Decentralization is there. But the cost of it, if it is expensive,
no, but that's the reason
you will have empty classrooms.
No, but that's why I'm saying, in fact, for them and kind of like, you know, at least for next three years, for that one is free. You get this, because you see, why are we doing that? It's not because government wants to throw money like that. We want our people to get training, to get the skills. Because you know what, Julde, the moment they get the training, some of them will not even want to go back to take the back way. Because they will now start earning. They will now start enjoying the fruits of their labor. They will now start, feeding themselves, feeding their family, and feeding the nation. Just take the case of the specialized Tibet Centers I talked about, the agribusiness in Sapo, and also the fisheries in Demban, in Gunjur. That if that is done, you could see the positive result that is going to have. It's going to have impact on the economy. Just look at also the multi-purpose centers. You have the auto mechanic, you have the welding aspect of it, the electrical, the plumbing, and all that. All these people, you don't need now non-Gambians to be doing the job. Your own brothers and sisters will be the one doing the job. You pay them, the money stays here. Okay. And they enjoy.
The money stays here. We will take a short commercial break. When we return, the program continues. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
You asked for it, and QCell is giving it to you with our new and improved Sunyu Bundle Mega Promo. Now you can get more data at cheaper prices. Buy any of our bundle packages and enjoy massive discounts. Dial *303# and enjoy browsing on the network with the biggest coverage. Buy a 20 megabytes data bundle for as low as $7 and 50 bottles today, or purchase bigger bundles up to 20 gigabytes. Yes, that's right, 20 gigabytes of data at your fingertips. With our mega promo bundles, you can browse more, chat longer, and stay connected on the go, anytime, anywhere. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell. We innovate. Orders follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, this is the one-to-one program coming to you on QTV. and I am your host Julden Jai, and joining me tonight to discuss more on these, the minister is the Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Professor Per Gomez, and we were talking about access to education and the importance of young people getting involved in Tibet Centers, in quality education, in making sure that young people are into skills acquisition. Of course, it's important, but oftentimes the Ministry of Higher Education has been receiving huge criticism in terms of the learning outcomes. What are you doing about these things? Do you also have initiatives whereby you will train the trainers? Because there has been huge criticism as far as that is concerned.
Yeah, this is part of what we are working on, and that's the reason why, because part of the issues was you don't have the manpower that will really respond to the needs of the industry. And that's why we are laying emphasis on the hands-on education and the Tibet programs and so. The other thing also is the manpower. As I'm talking to you, we are spending millions of dollars to train our people abroad. We send many of them in different countries. Just in these different areas, and I told you just next month 20 more will be leaving. Yesterday, even though it was Sunday, I was having a meeting with a group of PhD students in another part of the world that we send. We are the one paying for them. So we are investing. You see, we are sending our people out there to be trained, to upgrade them at masters and PhDs. Those I talked to yesterday, they were all PhD holders. PhD candidates. But those who are going next month, these are not PhD, they are not going to be PhD, they will be master's degree students, but not in any area, but specialized area that we did not have and we did not lay emphasis on those things since independence. That's why I said targeted area, that is agribusiness and also fisheries. Even for our satellite institution, our technical arm, NACA, we are also sending their staff in the next month, most likely, also to go and read higher education studies, the curriculum studies, and also quality assurance studies. Because these are the things that they do. So they need to be well equipped when they go around to the universities and colleges to inspect. But they too need to be well equipped in their areas and so on. So these are some of the things that we are working on, and we will continue pushing and investing a lot on that. Yes.
Okay, again, investment is one thing, training is another, but then retention is always the problem in the Gambia. What is the ministry doing in retaining these professors once they are enrolled in our universities, in our colleges, or tertiary institutions?
We are increasing. The university. Let me tell you, man will never be satisfied, no matter what you. See, before I became minister, I was like with the others. What we are getting is too small, and yes, and you ask all of us from academia, will tell you that it is too small. Yes, go and talk to my people at UTG about salaries. They will tell you increase. But my salary when I was at the University of the Gambia, was for the first 6 months when I became minister, my salary at the University of Gambia was higher than that of the minister. You see, so the first 6 months I was paid less than what I was paid at the University of the Gambia, even though I was the minister. It was only when we got the 30% increase, that's when my salary jumped. Now I get more than what I was getting at the university because of that 30% increase. So the government is doing a lot. By the way, we are working, so I'm pushing for us to abolish the subvention from the different institutions, and then we take care of their salaries, basic salaries, from the different institutions. That will be for the first time in the history of the Gambia. That has never happened. So that's what we are working on. It's part of the strategies of our sustainable financing of higher education, which is well captured, and we've done our homework. We have the data. We thought that this is something feasible, and in fact, in the coming days, we'll be going for bilaterals, my colleagues, with finance, so that that one is stable. So,
okay.
And that's going to help. And, the Banta Campus that we're going to talk about later,
before you go there,
yes.
Still on the quality of our education system in the Gambia, we know that Gambia has been benefiting from the Africa Center of Excellence. In fact, just recently you sent around close to 44 students. But then the issue now is, what are we doing as a country, as a university, to also have international students come to the Gambia and learn here? So it means we are sending our people, but people cannot come to our university. So it means it has to do with quality of, the question of quality education.
No, we are having students. We are having international students. I can tell you, it depends on the areas. There are some areas where even we are not taking more than, how to call it, we are taking less than what was presented before us. For instance, at the University of the Gambia, there are 2 faculties where you have many international students. And sometimes it's based on our requirement and based on space. We reject some international students. The majority where you have, international students is medicine. But, medicine, many are called, but few are chosen. Out of 400 to 500 who would have applied, and there 3/4 would have met the requirement, they take only 80. So because of space and other factors. So there you have many international students who want to come and learn medicine, because it's different from some other countries where they have endless strikes and whatever. And here you can have a very tranquil, serene environment to learn. And this is also one of the areas that we want to work on, for the Gambia to be an academic hub, for especially from the sub-region, they come to the Gambia. That's for academic tourism. Okay. So, but you also have the Faculty of Law, where you have also international students. These are we have them in other faculties, but more in medicine and also law.
No, okay.
So, but it happens that sometimes we cannot take all because of space. But God willing, once we move to Faraba, and then we have more space and for everybody, for the different faculties, then, and also dormitories. Because that's also one of the issues also. And we have the dormitories, then we will have more non-Gambians who will be joining, because we will welcome most of them. But right now we have to strike a balance. If you have only 80, for instance, for medicine, you cannot just drop Gambians there. You bring non-Gambians to occupy. So we strike a balance where you will still have the non-Gambians there, but then the majority to be Gambians from that number.
Speaking of the Faraba issue, Faraba Banta Campus, because we know that the first phase has elapsed, and the second phase there was issue with funding, and at some point you were rescued by the your Arab partners. Yeah. How far with that initiative?
Yeah, that's the issue. Yes, God willing, the concept this time around, next semester, they will move. We are working towards September, and they will move to Faraba. That is the four schools and the library. You have School of Business and Public Administration, School of Arts and Sciences, School of Education. They form the majority, and then also School of ITC. So they will operate from Faraba come next semester. Okay, that's what we've ordered. For your info, we've launched the road to Faraba. We've written to the University of the Gambia that for them to get ready, and we've set up a committee, and the process is on. So every time they have a meeting, and then even the stakeholders, today they had the meeting to that effect. We even the students, we're going to have buses, school bus system, and with GTSC. So we are not buying buses to give to UTG. That's not their job. UTG is academic. Let them concentrate on academic matters. GTSC, their job is to manage buses and repair and whatever. So that's what we're going to do. They are working on. Then the only thing is now the students and the university, they are looking at different options to see what to do, whether we should continue our model from shuttling between Brikama, Gambia College, and Faraba, or having to bring the buses up to this area to Kanifing End and be going all the way to Faraba, whether that will not be too cumbersome and too problematic. We are looking at processes, but at the end of the day, we will take a decision.
Okay.
Because leadership is not about a popularity contest. It's about being decisive, taking decisions on behalf of the people, and we will do that. But the interesting part of it, we are, for Lot 1, for Faraba, that consists of those 4 schools and the library. God willing, we are going to have them operational, and the equipment, part of it is already in the Gambia, you know, so available already here in the Gambia. The other part, in next 2 weeks, they will be here, and the subsequent week, another, some containers will also arrive, and these are brand new from other countries and so on. So, but for Lot 2, now work has started. Lot 2 consists of the Chancery building, 7 stories, and then also you have the Faculty of Law and the School of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences.
So the funding for that is already available.
We've got to all that.
From the Arab partners?
Yes, all for Faraba. Okay. Faraba is all from Faraba, 5 of them. Okay. But the problem that we had from, especially from Lot 1, is the way it was packaged. Because you see, all 5 must agree. Even if you have to buy a pen, you need to receive no objection from all of them before you proceed. And that made it very, very difficult, among other factors. There are other factors that led to the delay, but this is also one of the factors. But we've learned from our lesson. This Lot 2, we have only two donors there. We have Badea and IDB, and we ensure that each is allocated something. Okay. So that if the other one is delaying, so you can still proceed. So work has started. And God willing, 2024, that will be done.
Okay. Speaking of timeline, of course, it's a good initiative that you mentioned about decentralization of these Tibet centers, because 75% of them are within the Greater Banjul area, which is a bad thing. So the Tibet centers, you mentioned the U.S. government, you also mentioned the World Bank as part of the funders of these Tibet centers, and
MRC Holland.
Exactly, MRC Holland Foundation. So when are we expecting this to kickstart, really?
Okay, one, the Deman and Kanilai, MRC Holland intervened and to complete the work, and for Kanilai, with the exception of the auditorium, they are yet to touch, but new dormitories are built and classrooms and whatever, everything is renovated. So come September, this September, it will be operational. We've also received some equipment from TICA, you know, the Turkish Development Agency, the Banjul office. But we also received pledge. I met the TICA Director General in Ankara, and he promised to also support us in this area. We will have to make follow-ups also. And you notice recently there was a team from the Higher Education Commission that was in Banjul a week ago. So we continue pushing. The others, the work has started for some, like in CRR, the fencing of the of the place is done, and then after that, then work will start. For the others, but then also for the bank, as I said, is everything will kickstart. I mean, from October. That's the time now we will be able to start doing major activities. Right now, starting from this month, we are now doing studies. Like for instance, there's a study that we want to, tracer studies. We are launching tracer studies on Tibet. We are launching tracer studies on UTG. These are never done. You cannot be training people and you don't know where they are, what are the issues, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that was the area I was coming into.
Yeah.
Because the university, the Ministry of Higher Education is not just about higher education, but it's also about research.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we are really lacking in terms of research. What is the university doing?
No, that's what we are doing. So
Exactly.
we've now tasked the director of research at the University of Gambia. You know, we paid them for that service, and they're going to do the tracer study for the UTG. There's also a tracer study on Tibet. Products in this country, and that will give us idea. There's also going to be a tracer study from the female gender in tertiary and higher education. It has never been addressed in this country since independence. You know, there are many studies that need to be done, because from there then you have data. Then now everybody will see the data and then they can intervene. But nobody will intervene in areas where there's no data. And you know, I don't want people to say, to tell people, come and help me, when it is not anchored on knowledge, on science. Gone are those days when you just talk without basing it on facts. So it is important for it to be research oriented. So that's the reason why you notice right now, starting from this month, research is on, and we'll go up to October. Then now that's the time we start going ahead with the implementation of starting to buy the equipment and furniture here and there for some of the Tibet centers. But then the construction part of it is on.
Okay.
So, and it's the MRC Holland that is doing it.
And how many are we talking about here? Because already people are excited to know that we are coming to have lots of Tibet centers, but one would wonder how many.
No, but we have existing Tibet centers that need to be upgraded. We also have new Tibet centers. The new Tibet centers are the Fisheries Tibet Center that we're going to have in Gunjur, and the two in CRR North and South, okay, in Waso and Sapo. And these are the new ones. The one in North Bank will be private. That one is the Ahmadiyya Mission that is going to take care of it. They wanted to have it in Nusrat. I pleaded with them that Nusrat remains Nusrat. Nusrat has done what they are supposed to do. You know, everything cannot be concentrated in the Greater Banjul area, and they agreed and engaged their headquarters, and finally approval was granted, and we worked with the governor in North Bank, and finally in Buguma we will have now a Tibet center there, and they're going to do that one. So but this time around is from the private sector aspect of it. So that we cover. You see, this is our strategy. One, in a particular area, we create the environment, get a land, and then we allow the private sector to intervene. Another area where we are coming in, we now engage some donors like MRC Holland to help us with the construction, and then now for the others with the World Bank, and so that we now do the equipment. So and then also the other support that is needed. Then with the American, that one will take time before they start implementing, maybe 3 years. We don't think before that they will do, but it is all part of the process. It will come, and Gambians will later see the fruits of our labor. But now the Neman and Kanilai, these are centers that were there many years ago and never completely abandoned, but we now decided to intervene. Government funds put there and engage MRC Holland, and now they are ready to be used come September. We also have Mansa Konko. You've seen during the Meet the People tour, the president inaugurated the dormitories, 2-story buildings there, and 40 each capacity, female and male for that, and that will be also very useful. We also have a Tibet Center in Julangel in URR. So, but that one also we need more upgrading. We have also some facilities very good there through ECOWAS intervention there, but we need to go beyond. There's also...
I just hope that you will have lecturers for all of these Tibet centers.
Yes, lecturers. I told you we are sending our people for training.
And you're saying that next month they
but these ones will get lecturers because they are under USET also. USET lecturers and new staff will be there, and we also budgeted it is there. The other thing also is we expecting technical assistance from Nigeria. We wrote to them, I engaged them, and just we are planning follow-up on that. So to have professors also in these areas and also senior lecturers in this area as technical assistants. When they come for 2 years, we will not be paying their salaries. We will be taking care of their accommodation and also their local transport. Then Nigeria will be the one paying for that. Okay. But beyond that, we want to engage other countries and Malaysia, for instance, and see how best we can do. Beyond, in addition to that, even the madrasa, those from the madrasa, you see close to 21% of students within the senior secondary school. They are not captured. So for the first time in the history of this country, we need to capture them now in the Tibet system, so that like anybody else, they can come from the madrasa, yet be an engineer, yet be a technician, and an auto mechanic, and a tailor, whatever, in different areas. So this is what we are working on. We've already developed a proposal to that effect, and we're going to roll it out. Nice. Okay. So these are some of the things that that we have in mind, so that it is really participatory. Everybody is really served in this country.
Let's now shift our attention to science. What is the ministry doing about that? And are you working together with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education to have an integrated system whereby it would be like Kite Them Young system? Because we have lots of people here who will graduate from the University of the Gambia, but they hardly invent anything.
Well, no, don't look at it from that perspective. They're doing
That's something. What critics are saying.
Yeah, but that's what they are saying. But remember, as I once told some people, if we had to withdraw the UTG graduates from the system today, both from the public and private sector, the system will collapse. So it means that they are the one handling the economy of this country. The UTG products are the one handling the development of this country. It is in the hands of UTG products. That's the reality. So they are inventing, they are doing whatever they are doing. So what happened is we are training. Remember, I just want to always give examples so that people understand. Okay. You see, when people say that we are UTG, they are not doing whatever and so on, but yet they forgot. Right now, we have one of our former graduate assistant, Dr. Babukar Ba, who is now with MRC, but people forgot that, yes, you think that MRC would have hired him from South Africa? He was working in South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah? So, but I just want to give an example.
The idea is to have a holistic approach towards this.
But these are products of the same system. Okay. He came from UTG, went to Oxford. He got his master's degree in mathematics from Oxford. Also went to Edinburgh, his PhD, and then do his postdoctorate in Switzerland. And, had the opportunity to work in other places. Currently, as I'm talking today, there's a girl who came from Dipakunda here, and currently doing her PhD in the United States, Fatou Kinendao, in mathematics, pure mathematics. So it is possible. Some months ago, she was featured by Watson Gambia. She was in Holland participating in a doctoral conference in mathematics. Okay. Yet she was here in Dipakunda and UTG product. So it is possible. Yes, I can also understand, and which is a fact, that there are challenges. And the challenges are as a result of the funding challenges that we had in the past. That's why I told you we are pushing for people to understand that it is an investment to intervene in tertiary and higher education. That contrary to the what has been developed, that higher education is not a priority because it's an elitist area. You know, that the focus should be on basic and so on. I said, you are making a mistake. I gave you an example that we should reverse, or, you know, ensure that we give them the fair treatment, because even the basic, they need teachers. And the teachers are coming from higher education. So if you don't invest in higher education, you won't get the teachers, the good teachers. And I normally give one example, Finland. Go to Finland. The best, they go to education. The rest, they go elsewhere. Because not everybody goes to education. It's the best. And they give them the priority that they deserve.
Okay.
So this is some of the things that we need to look at.
It's up, like our time is really up. But then we can't really go without having this point, which is the sex for grades at the University of the Gambia. I understand there was an investigation that was mounted. How far with that?
Well, that terminology, I can't use that, because you see, you have some male students who are affected, so you don't want to say that it was based on that. So, and up till now, based on the info that that has come out, that is yet to be substantiated. However, there are some allegations, and the committee had already submitted its report, and it is with the governing council. But the governing council now is doing an cross-checking to ascertain, to confirm what the committee has already done. They are not just jumping because the committee has submitted. They are cross-checking whatever is done. But just to tell you that this happened because we improve the ERP. Now the system is no longer manual like before. During our time, we now introduce an electronic system, and that is what detects all these these interventions. Because you will have traces in whatever you do, and that's what these digital traces that have noted.
Thank you so much, Professor Per Gomez. Well, I'm afraid that's all we got time for. Until we come your way next week for another episode of the One-to-One program, and I am your host, Julden Jai. Do have a pleasant evening. Bye bye.